Well, this evening we spoke to the climate campaigner, Laura Young. So, Laura, this was groundbreaking legislation when it was introduced 10 years ago. I mean, it was a little bit controversial. And now it's just part of life, isn't it?
It is, and it actually came about because we, of course, were using too much plastic, but also finding too much plastic on beaches as litter, and we used to find about 5 every 100 metres of beach, but now we have reduced that by about 80%. So we're seeing in the environment a real benefit to this, but of course it's just become part of our everyday life. We remember to take a bag. We've normally got a stash somewhere in a cupboard or in our car, so it's something that absolutely was maybe a bit of a faff in the beginning, but has become part of regular routine, and it's a great result when we're trying to do something for the environment, and now it is just a habit that people have.
I mean, many people do take their own bags and reuse them, but some people, many people are still paying for carrier bags. They absorb the cost, and they're not, reusing bags. So, have we changed behaviour enough?
We would always love to see more, but the vast majority of people are. And for anyone who maybe forgets or anyone who doesn't, we of course know that we are raising money for fantastic charities through the charges that we see. And I think that that's a great outcome as well. But of course, it's part of a wider piece of waste that we need to combat. There's lots of things beyond plastic bags. There's coffee cups, there's plastic cutlery, there's lots of other types of waste that we can tackle. So although there are some people still not choosing to do it, we do also need to look beyond plastic bags and look at the other waste landscape and ways that we can be reducing waste in other aspects of life as well.
So you think we're still too much of a one-use society? A single-use society.
Absolutely. Single-use is so common in our everyday lives. And right now, the Scottish Government have another consultation out looking at single-use coffee cups, coffee, tea, hot chocolate, whatever it might be in, and looking at whether we should place a similar charge on that. And that consultation is out until November. We also know that there's been legislation passed in 2022 that looked at single-use plastic, things like polystyrene, plastic cutlery, plastic straws. So we know that there are other problem items, and we are through the legislative process trying to tackle those. But we also know that we use a lot of plastic in other things, like with drinks packaging. And that's another thing that the Marine Conservation Society found, that 97% of their beach cleans where they collect data had drinks cans and bottles. And we, of course, had the failed legislation of the deposit return scheme that has been kind of paused and put on hold as we kind of do that as a United Kingdom. So there are lots of other aspects of our single-use culture that we need to be tackling. But all of this absolutely speaks to the picture that we produce way too much waste here in Scotland, here in the UK, and a lot of that is due to convenience and due to bad habits maybe, but of course we have politicians, governments and businesses that need to help us out too by offering better plastic-free choices.
Yes, because if you go into any supermarket, there is still a heck of a lot of packaging. Now that's not down to individuals, that is down to big corporations. So, is that where, the message should be, we should be getting the message to them?
I know, and people almost said it's a bit, ironic. We've managed to have this successful piece of legislation to get rid of single-use plastic bags, or at least put a charge on them to encourage people to reuse it, yet everything you are putting in that bag is covered in plastic. So of course there is a lot that corporations have to do to reduce the plastic, and we're beginning to see that. We are beginning to see companies giving us better options when it comes to packaging. But the one thing we also need to remember is that we need to look beyond what material the packaging is made of and look at how we can be doing more reuse, more of a circular economy. Because actually what we've often done is we've replaced plastic with other single-use materials, and we need to be looking beyond that. And so it's great for these cup schemes that have been happening in venues like the Hydro, where you get your cup in you get your beer in a cup or whatever it might be, and you take it back, and that is reused time and time again. So we need to also be looking beyond the materials and looking at how we can encourage reuse rather than having lots of single-use items, even if they're not plastic.
You've talked about the physical impact of this legislation that was introduced 10 years ago. Do you think it also made us really think about the environment and how we use and misuse plastic? Very briefly, Laura, just to finish.
Absolutely, because plastic is actually amazing. It's durable, it's hard wearing, it's fantastic for certain uses, but what it's rubbish at is being single use, because it lasts forever. And hopefully people can see the fact that actually through things like Blue Planet and these legislations and just the culture, that actually it's very good to be moving away from this material.
Okay, Laura, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening.
Thank you.